Coffee is for closers, and I brewed a huge pot for my guest whose gym locked down 22 new clients in July. Want to know how he did it? Pour yourself a cup of sales brew and stick around for Run a Profitable Gym. I'm your host, Mike Warkentin. Hit subscribe before we go any further so you don't miss shows just like this. Brian Foley owns Activate in Ireland. He made one of our 3 marketing leaderboards for July. Set rate, that's the number of people who set an appointment to talk to you about your services at your gym. Show rate, that's the number of people who show up for their appointments. And close rate, this is the one Brian made. That's the number of people who buy. Our closers in July earned from 22 to 34 new clients. That's about 1 per day in July. It's a great number, and Brian's going to tell us exactly how he did it. Welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
I am pumped up to talk about this because I know that you invest a ton of time in your sales funnel, particularly in that sales office. So we're going to dig in and help some people out there close more sales. This was an area where I really struggled and a lot of gym owners struggled as well, but I know you've got some amazing tips. So we're going to dig right into it. Before we talk about closing, I want to go through your entire funnel because this is really cool. We're talking about adding 22 new clients, but your entire funnel is 27 appointments, 24 shows, 22 closes. So that is airtight. You're losing very few people from the start to the finish. Has it always been like this, and how do you do it?
It hasn't always been like this. We definitely worked to develop it much better over the years. Right now, it's pretty good, and we're always looking to make it a bit better. It's not quite airtight. There's still some leaks, but we've got the view that every lead is really valuable, and that every lead who decides to, whether that's not book an appointment with us, not show up to an appointment, or decides that our service isn't for them, is potentially someone lost to what our overall mission is. And really, like we're going to talk about later, we really want to help people and help more people. And if people walk out the door, they decide not to show up to the appointment, we've failed them, and that's the way we treat it. So we really, really look at the first step in our service as making sure people know how to book with us and are feeling very welcome when they come in to that appointment with us.
Yeah. And to put in perspective, listeners, like Brian lost 5 appointments and he got, 27 to 22. When I was running ads back in the day for 6-week challenges and stuff, we might get 100 people booking appointments. We might see 20 and we might close 7 sales. It was something like that. And the numbers that I don't feel bad about my numbers because they're pretty common across the industry. So if yours are similar to mine, don't worry about it. But listen to what Brian has to say, because this is really important stuff. And we also have other leaders talking about how to improve set and show rates. Brian's going to focus on closing today to help you out with that. So who sells at your gym, Brian? How did you select these people? How did you train them to do so well?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, Angela, who is our client success manager, is handling 99% of our sales process.
Okay, she's valuable.
So she is super valuable, and she is absolutely amazing at what she does. Nice. I could spend the entire episode talking about how good she is at helping people. She's a former member. Well, she's still a member, but she started with us as a member, and so she absolutely understands what our values are. So that was huge. And everybody that we put on our team and we hire on our team, we hire them for values, because a lot of the skills that we're going to talk about today can be taught and they can be learned. So we selected her really because of that. And the second reason is just help first is at her core. That is who she is. And I can't speak any more highly of her attitude to helping people. So she just really gets it. She gets a real high from helping people take that first step in their fitness journey. And you see her walk out of a no sweat intro, and she's just beaming because she's found a solution to get somebody started. So another few little things that help but are not necessary for someone who you could hire into a sales role. She is a qualified counselor and a mindset coach. And as well as that, she has been through 2 levels of the precision nutrition certification. And the reason I mention that is PN have a very strong emphasis on motivational interviewing. And that is one of the things that she does in a no sweat intro. And her skills on that level are top class.
Listeners, we're going to get into this a little bit further with Help First later on in the show, but if you have a Jones to figure it out right now, I'm going to put a link in the show notes. Chris Cooper's book of the same name. You can order it right now. It will change your perspective on selling, because you're not forcing stuff on people that they don't want to buy. Like, oh, you need the extra spoiler on the, on your car and all this stuff that you don't care about. It's about helping people find solutions to their problems, and you're rewarded for doing so. It is a really great mindset shift. I will have a link there for you, and Brian and I will dig into that a little bit later. So first thing Brian said, he's selecting great people with the soft skills that they can do the things that he wants, trains them. So, and his Angela has amazing, she's got a lot of qualifications, but at her core, she wants to help people become healthier and fitter through the services at the gym. That makes her a perfect candidate to sell in that system. So how have you simplified? Now, I know the sales process, like when I had it, I had a whole bunch of different things. It was like this option leads to this option and 4 times a week and twice, and it was very complicated, all these different levels. I understand that you've simplified your sales process and your pricing sheets. Talk to me about that, because less is often better.
Absolutely. So I guess when we mentioned at the start, when our sales process and our pipeline wasn't as watertight, it was down to a lack of consistency. We were always trying new things. Let's try that this month, and let's try a new script. And, rather than actually just getting better, I wore my Virtuosity t-shirt today, Mike, on purpose.
A good one. Yeah.
Because it really is just about doing the simple stuff better and helping best, and not looking for, shiny objects. We're just trying to do things consistently well, get reps in, train consistently on this particular skill, and just refine it over time. Just making things clearer for prospects. You've got to look at the prospect journey, from the very start. They're scared. Most of them are intimidated walking in. The last thing you want to do is bamboozle them with like 15 sales sheets and,
I did that.
Pricing. Yeah, I've done that too. And it's, you think you're going to help them by giving them lots of options, but really what you need to do is just tell them what is going to work best for them. And that's where the prescriptive model comes in. And that's what we've really simplified. We look at the very start of the no sweat intro conversation, and it leads to a very specific point. It leads to a prescription. It doesn't lead to a whole host of options where we put a menu in front of somebody. We've looked at every step in that. From the moment the person walks in our front door, it's very clear what the staff person has to do, where they're to meet them, and how they're to do it. We've documented absolutely everything in our sales process. The handling of objections is documented and practiced regularly, because that is a lot of the stumbling blocks. Everyone walks in with baggage in the door. Everyone has objections and preconceived notions in their heads. And it's our job to help them overcome them, or at least figure it out and have a look in the mirror for themselves, that maybe those objections they keep giving themselves are the reason that they have failed in their fitness to this point, and that maybe they're not getting the results that they want. So, once we have that documented, once we have a process in place to show people, that we can help them, and if they don't want that help, well, then they need to seek it elsewhere, but they really do need to start helping themselves. It's very clear, and it just leads prospects to a yes or a no. It doesn't lead them to a maybe. And that's really what we've simplified in the process. And as a team, we meet once a month and we talk about the objections that we've had. We've simplified it even further. If there's something on a sales sheet that's causing confusion or a question, we get rid of it because it mightn't be necessary. We've just really, really honed down on what it is that we do and become very clear on what it is that we sell, the service that we sell. So it's just not this a la carte menu that people get to come in and pick from. The chef is walking out of the kitchen and telling you what's best and what you're going to have today. So that's really what it is.
Listeners, prescriptive model that Brian has just laid out for you. I'm going to put a link in the show notes to that. If you want to dig in detail, it will have everything you need there to implement that at your gym. The long and the short of it is people who use it generate more revenue, have better retention. So if that's not enough for you, I can't help you, but that's what will be in the show notes. Check it out. And the reason here is exactly what Brian said. Think about it like you come into a restaurant, and I literally have this problem. If someone starts reading off all this stuff, the special is this, and we have this, and we have this, I'm just zoned out. I don't know. But if the chef comes out and says, you like steak? And I'm like, yeah, I need steak. The best piece of meat on the menu is this one right here. I'm going to do it for you like this, and you are going to love it. I'd be like, I'll take it. Right? You're essentially doing the same thing at your gym. I made this mistake. I had people come in and I would say, what do you want to do? They don't know. They want to lose weight. They don't know if that means 2 times a week, 3 times a week, unlimited. They don't know if they need to come to do the strength class and the nutrition. They have no idea. They're coming to me as the expert. I tried to make them make a decision. It was a huge mistake when I simplified things and started telling them, you need to come 3 times a week and do nutrition coaching on the side to lose 10 pounds by September or November. They would do that and it got better results for them. I'm helping them and the gym is rewarded for making that prescription. So check that out. Prescriptive model, link in the show notes. Brian, do you use a sales binder or an iPad, or how do you lay out the options once you said, this is the thing for you? How do you show them the price?
Yeah, so we have both. So we've got an iPad with like a PowerPoint presentation that brings them through the prices, and we've got like laminated sheets. But really, we end up showing them one sheet more often than not. And depending on how the conversation goes, what the pain point is, and what's going to work best for this person, we'll show them. If it's personal training, we'll show them the personal training sheet. We're not going to confound them by showing them what our group training rates are, because they don't need to see what's not going to help them. If it's nutrition coaching, we'll show them the nutrition coaching sheets. So we've got a couple of sheets, but we'll really just like scroll directly to the one that they need and not show them the window dressing, essentially.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it. Honestly, is that you tell them this is what you need. Here is the price. And ask them to make a decision. That's that yes or no that you talked about. The mistake is saying, well, you could do this or you could do this. What do you want to do? They don't know. They're not the expert. You show them the thing. And at that point, if they say, oh, that's a little more than I thought it was, that's where you can get into that whole objection handling thing that Brian talked about, where you're saying, can you really put a price on 10 pounds or being able to pick up your grandkids or whatever it is, because you've done this whole motivational interviewing process. You found out who they are, what they need, what drives them, why this is important to them. In some cases, you may get a price objection that can't be overcome. Maybe then you say, you know what, personal training would be best, but you can still get results in our group program 3 times a week. Show them the price. And you can do some workarounds like that. We're not going to get into the exact details of that. We do have sales objection handling stuff in here, but that's the principle, is simplifying things and making it work. Now, I know something that you do really interesting, Brian, is you track metrics weekly to ensure that everything is going well in the sales office, which I guarantee listeners, that's why his numbers are so good from appointment set to sales. So can you give me an example of a problem that you spotted and solved because you watch your numbers so closely from week to week?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started doing that last year, and the power of having all those numbers in front of you is just, it's immeasurable. We looked at trends this year versus last year. We knew when the bottlenecks were coming, and we knew when to prepare. We knew when to audit our funnels before there was any choke points.
What did you see in there? Like, what did you see from year to year? I got to know, what was different?
So we knew that May into June, historically pretty quiet. So what we did there is we just did our funnel audits, and we put out a bit more organic content in May, a bit more organic content in June. And we looked at it and we looked at, okay, are we regularly posting? Are we showing client successes of our avatar clients from, people who've joined in the summer? They don't have to wait until next January. We've told stories of people who've started now. We're posting our local community group, and we look at those funnels, and we regularly look at our 4 funnels and make sure they're all operating correctly. So our organic social, our referral funnels are operating. So like, for example, if we do a goal review, have we brought in a new friend? Have we brought in a family member? We look at that stuff really, really closely. So that's what we saw last year versus this year. Last year, we didn't do a particularly good job of organic content in May and June. We did not also do a very good job of getting goal review sessions in with our members in May and June last year. And that led to a dip in July and August, which is a complete opposite this year, because we prepared this year for a quieter summer.
Nice.
So we keep a really, really keen eye on our numbers, and weekly might sound like overkill, but it gives such an amount of clarity. I mean, if you're not at least doing it monthly, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, and you're flying the plane without the controls. You don't have a clue what's happening.
Yeah. And sales problems, like they caused 60 days ago, 30 days ago, and you show up, I have no clients in my gym. That's because something you did 60 days ago. It's exactly what you said. And listeners, like, if I were to give you a piece of advice, July and June in most of the gym world is rough in 2025. Plan for that right now. What problems did you have in the summer we just came through? Figure that out and put the plans in place so that 2025 is better. When I started doing this, the whole business changed. When I didn't do this, we were crappy every single July. And that's exactly the way it goes. Your sales problems are caused way back in the day. So you're analyzing stuff weekly. I love that. And the 4 funnels that Brian mentioned, we've got paid ads, we've got content, we've got social media, and we've got referrals. Two Brain teaches clients how to run all these funnels clog free. Some people will run all four at once. Some people will focus on other ones. And the three of them that are not paid, they cost you only your time and they're highly valuable, but they do cost some time. So you got to do them properly. The paid ads funnel is another one where we can teach you how to do that stuff properly if that's the route you want to go. Some gyms run all four at once. They see really great results, but a mentor can help you decide exactly what to prioritize and what to do. So that's neat. So you looked last year or looked at last year's numbers and said, man, we just did not do a good job with our content to get people in the pool. You started putting up more stuff this year, and your June, July were much better than expected as a result, or last year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we looked at it and we saw a huge uptake in like top of the funnel activity. So more people looking at our page, more people giving us their information. And then what we did was, because even as a percentage last year, even though we had lower leads in 2023, our set rate was really low. Because people in summertime are like, yeah, I'm interested, but I'm busy. The kids are off school.
Sunny. I'm out of here.
Exactly. So we really upped what we did with ensuring that we were contacting leads really, really quickly.
Yes.
Because
how
in
fast is that?
we know.
What's quickly
as fast
you?
as possible. 5 minutes is what I've tasked Angela with, but that's not always doable. But definitely not to leave it until the next day, because people's motivation is highest when they give us their details. That's when they want to start.
Yeah, your first target's got to be 24 hours. And the gold standard is 5 minutes. It's not reasonable all the time. People have to sleep at times, but 24 hours is the gold standard. If you can get to 5 minutes, you're going to close more sales. Sorry, I cut you off, Brian. Keep her going.
No, absolutely. I mean, when we looked at it, we were like, if we're not getting to people quick enough, they've already come up with the objections in their head. Yep. Before we've even gotten the chance to sit down with them. So it was just as simple as identifying that problem before it became a problem. So we knew it was going to happen. So how do we set ourselves up? Well, what Angela was doing was setting time aside in her calendar every day at morning time and the evening time to make sure that those prospects were called and that they were getting that bit of nurturing before they booked their no sweat intro. So we made sure that we triaged that set rate issue that we had last year before it became an issue this year. We also made it very simple for people. We produced a little bit of content that just showed what a no sweat intro is. And it just took out just a quick video. It was pretty simple, but a lot of people are, like I mentioned at the start, they're filled with anxiety and pressure before they walk in the door, and they're expecting like a pitch or something like this that isn't really what we're doing. So we just broke it down in a video and just told people what it was all about.
People are often nervous about, do I have to do a workout? Right? That was cool back when I started my CrossFit gym in 2009, right? Come in and do a workout and you're going to puke and we're going to sign up and it's going to be awesome. That doesn't happen anymore. That's not a thing. That's why it's a no sweat intro. You're coming in to talk about your goals, your feelings, your anxieties, everything that's making you nervous. The coach is going to put you at ease, tell you what you need to do, and away you go. And it's a much better process than throwing people into the deep end of the pool and hoping that they swam, which is what I did for many years and lost a lot of clients that way. I love that you're talking about the metrics. And if you do run your metrics, listeners, you will be able to identify where your problems are. You may not have enough leads, or you may find that you can't get those leads to book appointments, or you may find that you can't get those people who book appointments to show up, or you might find that everyone shows up, but you can't sell. Those all have different solutions. Chris Cooper's written about this regularly. There are different ways to unclog each part of your funnel. You'll never know where to invest your resources if you do not run your numbers. Run them. I guarantee you will see better success in your marketing. Now, this is an interesting one. So you closed like a boss, but I don't get the sense that you use this slimy, high pressure, really bleeding people out kind of situation. Let's go a little bit deeper into that help first, help best mentality that drives your sales system.
Yeah, it's really good that you brought that up, because I put this past Angela and she recoiled when I said use the word slimy high pressure sales, because she actually wrote me a message to tell me it's absolutely not that. So our focus is always on helping first. So I'll give you a very obvious example. We had a lady walk in a couple of weeks ago and she was looking for something that we didn't provide. So we're not a powerlifting gym and she wanted to do powerlifting. And if we weren't helped first, we'd have just said, yeah, whatever. We'd binge once a month.
Get you stronger. Sure. Sign up.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. What we did was, and she was one of the statistics that didn't sign up, but the best solution for her was to refer her to a powerlifting gym in town. And we do that regularly. And we just say, okay, this is not what we focus on, but we can recommend some great gyms in town and you should go there. So that's a very clear indication that, you know, our moral compass is very, very much fixed in the direction that we want it to be. It really is on helping first. So when we meet with that prospect, we're so confident that we can help them. We really are. And like Angela says that every time I catch up with her, she's like, I'm just confident. And she said, it's such a privilege to just be able to help people. So if we can't help them, like I said, we'll tell them to go where they should go. But like what really drives the approach is just listening to people, hearing their pain point and just showing that there is support there for them and that we've got a solution that can help them. We know that what we do and the thing we do best is what we can help people with. So we don't try to sell them something that we don't offer, essentially. We always lead with that, you know, genuine belief of help first, showcasing that we can help them. It's not about like having tactics. It's just about being very clear, being upfront, being honest, and really caring about the person that walks in the door, listening to their story. And that's a key thing. I think a lot of people get into a no sweat intro or a sales, and they like to just tell them, like the gym owner or the salesperson will tell them what we do. And we typically don't do that. We'll just ask them about themselves first. And that's how the NSI starts. We just start with, tell me about you. Tell me who you are, what your life is. And we'll listen to them just speak. And then we'll just find out and unravel that puzzle of why they haven't found the solution for their health and fitness yet. We'll just listen to them. And then they came in the door first day for a reason. They're obviously looking for help. And that's the way that we look at it. There's someone here, there's another human being who needs our help, or they need some help. It mightn't be in our gym, it might be in another great gym in town. And we've got such a valuable service that we can turn their life around and we can change their life so much that, you know, that really just sticks to the core of what we're doing. We can change this person's life. Why would we need to do slimy sales tactics when we know the value of what we've got? We know, we've seen it. We've got evidence of people whose lives are just completely, you know, different to what they were 2-3 years ago now.
Listeners, ask yourself a question right now. If you're struggling with sales, here's the question. Do you know how to make people stronger? And do you know how to help people lose weight and body fat? The answer is yes, you do. As a fitness coach, you know that your services work. That should give you a huge amount of confidence that you can solve people's problems. If you look at that in the sales office and say that I am solving people's problems through my services and I'm going to get compensated for that, it's a lot different than trying to make people buy stuff they don't need. The example, I'll give you the analogy, car salesperson, person comes in and says, I need a basic vehicle to get me from work to home or home to work, vice versa. And the salesperson says, okay, I've got you. We're going to get you this, but we're going to put a spoiler on it and a performance hood. And I'm going to put some kick-ass speakers in the back and a bunch of other stuff you don't need. That's where the high pressure sales, that's the slimy stuff, right? You say, oh, and I've only got one in the back lot and you got to buy it now. That's different than saying, I hear you. I'm going to give you what you've asked for. And this is the solution. Do you want to buy it? That's a simple process, right? And Brian, the stuff that you said there about the conversation is so important because here's another mistake that I made. Gym tour. People come in and I show them my shiny equipment and all my stuff and my space and my gymnastic rings and all this stuff. And it's all about me, right? And I'm trying to show off my gym. They are not interested in that. They're interested in their own problems. So you sit down and ask them, what are you trying to do? Why have you failed in the past? Where have you succeeded? What is, what's holding you back? What are your goals? Everything that they give you becomes info that you can use to close that sale because they say, the price is a little much. It's like, you know what? You said you've been crying for 6 months because you just can't fit into those pants that you want to wear to your high school reunion. Is $200 really that much to not cry for the next 6 months, right? And you've got stuff like that in your back pocket. Again, that's not high pressure. That's saying, you told me this was a goal that's very important to you. So Brian, in your conversations, have you heard some just incredible stuff that's helped you just like, wow, I need to help this person through my services? Like what's some stuff that you've heard in conversations?
Yeah, we've had a lot of stuff that, people with, some major health complications coming in our door, people on medication who are now off that medication. It's just amazing stories. People who, that they were on their way to an early grave. There's no two ways of saying that. They were, they had one path in life and it was really, really not looking good for them on a health trajectory. And that's really sad because, there are solutions out there to help them. And we've got lots of stories like that. People coming in the door and they feel like that, they've tried everything. And really they haven't. And that's the sad reality. A lot of gym owners have never actually sat down with prospects and, you know, told them how they can change their lives. And it's just 15 minutes. And this person could change their entire lives with that 15 minutes. All they need is just to be put on the right path. They need to just get rid of the fads, get rid of all the garbage they're reading in magazines, and just sit down with a fitness professional who actually cares about their life and their results. And they could just change their entire health trajectory for the rest of their lives. And we've had loads of those stories. And it's just unfortunate that, you know, there are still people out there who need help, who, you know, they're following all those trends, they're following all the fads, they're not just booking like a complimentary chat. Even if we're not the people that can help them, at least we can call out some of the rubbish that they're doing in their lives that just needs to change. So even that 15-minute chat might add years to their lives, or it might just give them the prod to go somewhere else and get exercising and get off the couch and just sort out their nutrition. It might just be as simple as that.
What's a ratio? It could just be a rough ratio of they talk, you talk in a sales appointment. Is it 50-50 or what do you think?
No, and that's something that we do catch up on it. Like whenever I chat to Angela, but because I obviously can't be at these no sweat intros, I often ask her, you know, how much are you talking versus how much are they talking? Typically, we'll talk about maybe 25-30% of the time. Yeah,
that's interesting because a lot of people do it the other way. They yak 70.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, we've got a script and there's actually a sheet that we fill in when the person is talking so that we can get some of the major pain points so that we don't forget any important information. But, you know, we're listening to them. There's big boxes there because people's lives are complex. People's stories are complex. You need to hear that out. Obviously, you can't give them like a 3-hour consult. So you need to be pretty concise with your questions and they need to be pointed. But you still need to let people's issues have air. They've probably been sitting on these things for 10, 15, 20 years. You know, all this like repressed feelings of guilt, anger, all these things need to be given air in a very private setting so they can just like talk their piece.
No successful gym owner does not have a system for every aspect of their business. Every single person that I talk to from this leaderboard, every show they come on here and they tell me about, they mention the word system at some point. If you're listening and you do not have a sales system, you're not going to close effectively. I'll just put that out for you. Brian is going to help you with that a little bit. So Brian, as we send people out the door here, gym owners that are struggling to sell, give me some of your top closing tips that they can use to take action on in their next sales meeting.
Yeah, and you just you hit the nail on the head, Mike. It's have a very clear system, have an extremely clear process, and script that process so that it's not scripted. Like, don't leave it down to chance. Obviously, it's a natural flow of conversation, but if you don't have a script, that conversation can go in a wild direction, and you can't steer it. You can't steer it towards the actual pain point, and they could be talking about their car or the dog. Which I love dogs, but we don't want to talk about that in the No Sweat intro, for example.
Well, that's why I have a script for this show, because otherwise I'd be asking about Irish whiskey. I actually have a list of questions to keep me on track. So we're not talking about dogs and whiskey. We're talking about sales closing. So there you go. Keep going.
Exactly. And then the other key point that I know a lot of gym owners forget to do is actually practice this. Yes. We waste, like we spoke at the very top of the show about not wasting any leads. The time to get your reps in isn't when you're standing on the platform at the Olympics. It's not there live. You get it in the training floor. So, you know, you should get your reps in as a team, you know, do like round robins around the table, throw curveballs at each other, be awkward, throw different objections, practice all the different types of people that could walk in the door and just practice.
How often would
that's
you do
a
that?
system. Like at the start. So when we were training our Angela up initially, it was very frequently. Like we were practicing, you know, weekly. Now it's monthly, and because she's
getting
highly
better,
skilled,
yeah.
She's far better than I am at this now, and that's why she's doing that job. But if we were training someone else up, it would be weekly reps. It would be pretty intensive for the first maybe 4 to 6 weeks, because this stuff does take reps to get better at. And then you could be left on an actual live prospect. And then after that, it's not just, it's purposeful practice thereafter. So every time that you walk out of a No Sweat intro, it's reflecting on how that went, and give yourself a bit of, give yourself a mark out of 10 on each of the points of your script. Did you stick to it? Was the timing right? Did you let them speak enough? You've got to be able to look at yourself and assess how well you did. So that's key. And that's a system in itself. But, if you are auditing these things, you'll know where the pain points are. You'll know where the issues are. If you're leaving it up to chance, you'll never know how you can actually improve it.
Again, that's the word, systems. And I have hobbies that I do. And what I do when I finish something, I write a note to myself and I put it in my box. The next time I go out to do it, I open it up and I'm like, you should do it like this. You can use that same basic system in your sales office. But if you just walk out and assume everything was great and never circle back, you will not improve anything. Brian's talked about metrics tracking. That's metrics tracking right there. You're creating an evaluation system. I scored a 7 out of 10 because I talked just a little bit too much. I told a story that just, for whatever reason, I made it about me. Don't do that next time. You're going to score an 8, 9, 10, something like that. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff there. Brian, how long did it take for you to go from a lower, like closing at a poor rate to at the rate you're at now? How fast can gym owners turn the ship around, do you think?
It is really fast if you put it's really fast if you put effort into it. I mean, when we were auditing our set rate, even for example, at the start of the year, we saw a bit of a trend downwards, and we were able to turn that around in 4 weeks. So you can turn this stuff around really quickly, but you need to put the time aside. You need to put time aside every day to ensure that you're practicing this stuff, that you're systemizing it, and that you know what the problem is, because like 500 miles an hour is 500 miles an hour, but it could be in the wrong direction. You could be going really fast, but you could be going the wrong direction if you don't know what you're actually trying to fix. So you've got to be able to assess what the problem is. And you can only do that if you've got some numbers and some objective data in front of you to be able to fix.
Two-brain clients get the benefit of working with a mentor who will analyze this stuff with them and tell them exactly what they need to do right now to improve this number. It's a great, great thing. And we also have for clients office hours. Sales are a regular topic in our office hours where clients can just come, and they're usually noon Eastern on Wednesday. You show up and there's a variety of topics from week to week, but sales is in there a lot. And we have people ask experts, how do I fix this? Or experts will lecture on certain topics. It's a great resource if you're a two-brain client. If you are not a two-brain client and want to hear more about this, book a call via the link in the show notes, because you could work with someone like Brian, who could help you do this stuff at your gym. Brian, thanks so much for taking a piece out of your afternoon to help gym owners with some actionable closing tips. I really appreciate it.
No worries, Mike. Thanks so much. And now that you mention it, office hours is one of the key things. We never miss a sales office hours.
You don't, hey? So Angela goes?
Always. Yeah. We always watch the recordings together. Our team is very, very, bought into the office hours because the guys do a great job on helping.
Yep. And it's a great option for two-brain clients outside of our core curriculum. It's a thing that happens weekly on various topics. If you're a two-brain client, you're not there, check the stuff out. It will help you. That was Brian Foley. This is Run a Profitable Gym. Thanks for listening. Please hit subscribe on the way out wherever you are. I really appreciate it.